Ladies and gentlemen, here we go again. Yet another unelected, politically appointed activist federal judge has just tried to override President Trump, but this time, it completely backfired. You see, President Trump has been working to pause all foreign aid so that American tax dollars actually stay here in America. Back in January, he signed an executive order freezing all outgoing foreign aid, a move that, by the way, the majority of Americans actually support. But guess what happened? According to politically appointed activist federal judge Amir Ali, freezing foreign aid would, quote, cause irreparable damage and harm to the intended recipient countries. Yeah, so I don't know about you guys, but I guess I missed the memo saying that US foreign policy is supposed to benefit foreign countries as opposed to American citizens. So let's get this straight. A federal judge who was handpicked and selected by Joe Biden, by the way, thinks he can override President Trump's presidential powers to pause taxpayer-funded handouts to foreign countries. I hate to break it to you, Judge Ali, but that's not how our government works. You see, according to Article 2 of the US Constitution, the president, not the courts, has sole authority over foreign policy. Nowhere, in fact, in the US Constitution does it say that some random federal judge gets to override the commander-in-chief on matters of foreign aid. And get this, progressive activist federal judge Amir Ali wasn't even born in the US, no, he was born in Canada, and he never became a US citizen until 2019. So let me ask you guys a question. Why does a guy who's only been an American for 6 years think that he gets to dictate American foreign policy, more so than the sitting American president? In my opinion, if anyone should not be making decisions about how American taxpayer dollars are spent and how American foreign policy operates, it's a guy who wasn't even an American 10 years ago. But okay, take a look at this. Thanks to Judge Ali's ruling, the Trump administration was forced to resume the outflow of over $2 billion worth of foreign aid with the deadline of midnight of February 26th. That's yesterday. That's $2 billion that should be going to Americans struggling right here at home, but instead was about to get shipped overseas against the will of the elected president and the majority of the American people. But folks, here's the good news. Before that midnight February 26th deadline hit, something amazing happened. Just 4 hours before the midnight deadline, Trump's administration appealed to the Supreme Court, and guess what? Chief Justice John Roberts stepped in and blocked Judge Ali's ruling, meaning that the Trump administration no longer had to send out that $2 billion in foreign aid. There you have it. And just like that, this unelected judicial activist, Amir Ali, got completely shut down. But you know what? Here's where things get even more interesting. As you all know, the current Supreme Court is ideologically split 6-3, with conservatives holding a strong majority. What this means is that President Trump right now has the upper hand. So if Trump and his administration keep on fighting back against these federal activist judges, the Supreme Court will very likely rule in their favor more often than not. And that is exactly why the progressive left is losing their minds right now, because they know they can't use the courts to stop him anymore. And you know what? Here's the best part about all of this. As you all know, the American people actually overwhelmingly support Trump's freeze on foreign aid. According to a recent Harvard University political poll, 63% of Americans support freezing and reevaluating all foreign aid expenditures. And that makes total sense because Americans are sick and tired of sending billions of dollars overseas while our own country here domestically is struggling. We've got record high homelessness numbers, inflation, and invasion at the southern border, and yet Democrats are more concerned about sending your money to foreign countries. That is insanity. And so, hey, do you guys really want to know why the progressive left is panicking right now? Because right now, President Trump has his highest approval ratings of all time, 54% nationwide. To be very clear, that's actually higher than President Reagan had at this point in his presidency. So folks, let's be very clear about what's going on here. A politically appointed federal judge tried to override the will of the people and undermine the most popular president in modern history. If that is not subversion of democracy, I don't know what is. But you know what? I'm not the only one saying that. Even Elon Musk himself weighed in on this disaster, saying, if any judge anywhere can block every presidential order everywhere, we do not have a democracy, we have a tyranny of the judiciary. And you know what? He's absolutely right. Because when unelected judges can override a sitting president's executive order, what we have is not a democracy, it's a judicial tyranny. And that is exactly why the progressive left is melting down right now, because they know they are losing their tyrannical grip on the nation. And so, you know what? As it relates to all of this, I want to show you guys part of the ongoing meltdown going on at none other than CNN right now. But first, I want to say real quick, if you guys enjoy the daily news coverage, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton with my daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm. But okay, let's take a look at what the super smart panelists over at CNN have to say about the powers of the president and the potential for tyranny.
Doge is not about cutting money, right? It's not about spending. It's about shrinking government so that it'll be too small to stop Trump with whatever else is in this plan.
Why would the government stop Trump? Isn't he the head of the government? You're saying the government would be too small to stop Trump. If Trump's the president, why would the government, the bureaucracy, be actively trying to stop him?
Because they want to shredding the Constitution and creating an authoritarian dictatorship. That's why.
And no matter who is in office, I'm going to hold them accountable. But more importantly, I'm going to make sure the government is working for the American people.
Both of you all made an interesting point, which is that your view is that Trump is shredding the Constitution. I'd like to hear more about that. But that it seems to me that you all both believe that the unelected part of our government, the bureaucracy, has a responsibility to resist the political leadership. Is that your view?
That's not actually what we
not
said.
at all
We
what I
said they are
Yeah, it is.
upholding the Constitution, the principles of the Constitution, and at times
How
that we
is
have
Trump
seen.
shredding the Constitution?
My God, he's like.
I mean, seriously,
He
do we
doesn't
have to
believe
give
in
you a
the balance of
civics
power,
lesson
Scott.
that we have?
I don't know,
we put all power in the executive
How is
branch.
holding the
The
government-
legislative branch, the FBI. Now we're in control of the military. We're
Yes.
silencing media.
Commander-in-Chief,
This
head
is
of the
what you
military.
do
The
in a
Supreme Court of
dictatorship.
Are you suggesting that the president is not the commander-in-chief of the military?
I'm suggesting that the president is going to put in charge somebody who is going to contravene the Constitution. And at some near point, this conversation will look very silly for you because it will be obvious. And right now, you're
Wait,
gaslighting.
he's gonna
but when we
put-
get to the actual
he's
rubber
gonna
of the
put-
road of
I'm
this,
sorry.
it will be clear.
I'm interested in this conversation. He's going to put someone in charge who will contravene the Constitution. Like who? What do you mean by that? The president is in charge of the military, is he not? You said he's going to put someone in charge of the military?
The president is in charge of the military. That is how it works.
He was elected president. We, according to the Constitution, vest all executive authority in a president. And the concept that the military should be an independent agency or that the bureaucracy should resist the political leadership of this government is extraordinarily dangerous.
That's what we said. That's a straw
not what
man.
we
It's
said.
That's
ridiculous.
literally not what we said.
I'm just repeating back to you your own
I
words.
did not.
So, folks, here's what seems painfully obvious to me. The progressive left is totally comfortable with tyranny when it suits them, like this progressive activist federal judge appointed by Joe Biden, but they'll complain all day about President Trump properly using his presidential powers. The level of hypocrisy is absolutely astounding. And so here's my opinion. This entire situation is just proof that the judicial branch has become a rogue, unaccountable force in American politics. An unelected, Biden-appointed, foreign-born judge should not have more power over foreign aid than the sitting president of the United States of America. And yet, that's exactly what the left wants. They want to use politically appointed activist judges as a weapon to override the elected president and push through their globalist agenda. But folks, we are not allowing that to happen anymore. Because thanks to President Trump, the Supreme Court, and the will of the American people, this corrupt system is finally being dismantled. And that, folks, is what making America great again actually looks like. But folks, I think that's going to be a wrap for today's video, so please let me know what you think about all of this down below in the comments section. Please like the video if you liked it. Like I said earlier, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.